Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Dela, also known as Natural Ghana Girl, and today I'm here with another episode of the Move Me Back series. I luckily get to speak to Stefania. Hey! Stefania is so amazing to interview. I'm going to talk to you about your whole Ghana experience, and I also want to speak to you about the lovely things that you've set up here. I'm not even going to say what it is, but yeah, all of it. So first of all, you can start by telling me, are you Ghanaian?
Yes, I'm Ghanaian, although I get asked all the time, are you sure?
Yeah, are you sure? Are you sure?
My mother's Ghanaian and my father's from Italy, but I was born and I was raised in Ghana. So I did my whole adult life, young adult life, I guess. I was up till 18 years.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Italy.
Okay. And how long were you in Italy for?
I did another 10-year stint there. And then I moved back to Ghana after that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So tell me, what was it like having been born here and Ghana is all that you kind of knew, and then leaving to somewhere you had never been, right?
Yeah.
And then coming back. Tell me, what did you learn? What did you see?
Well, growing up here, I was labeled white. You know, bruni and all of that, because obviously skin color is what it is.
Yeah.
So I lived Ghana, I think, a bit of, you know, as a foreigner, but as a local, but a foreigner.
Yeah.
But, you know, you don't mixed race kids. We have a complicated background
Yeah,
in general.
I'm sure. I think that's a fair statement. Yeah.
Because even when I did go to Italy, maybe in the summer once a while with my siblings, we were then the black kids in town. You know, so wherever you go, you don't really fit in.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a problem for me per se. I guess it just made me realize I am who I am as an individual.
Yeah.
And not really focus too much on the race concept. I went to an international school, so that was a lot of exposure to a lot of different cultures.
Right.
So living here gave me a very broad mindset of the world, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
And obviously when the capital is Accra, so there's a lot going on, there's a lot coming and going.
Yeah.
And in that sense, I think I had a pretty global outlook on life in general already from a very young age.
Yeah.
And I was aware of a lot of different cultures and a lot of different things happening in different parts of the globe, simply because of what I was exposed to whilst I was here.
So did you feel at that point that you had a well-rounded view of the world almost?
I mean, you're young, and you think you know. Until I left, and I went to Europe. I was in Italy. It was a different language, so in the beginning it was tough because I did speak like some broken Italian. I had been to an Italian school in Ghana, but that was just elementary school. They then closed it down because the students were very few. I mean, me and my siblings were half the school. That tells you exactly how many we were.
Yeah.
Then going there, I was having difficulties and challenges, let's say, with the language, even though I could understand, but you know, you don't think in that language. So until you start to think in the language, which took me about 2 years, you're not really fully integrated, I think, in the space. So I did, you know, lessons in language so I could catch up, because I was going to go to university and I had to really understand what was going on around me. And I started to understand the culture also, you know, because I think language is the way into any culture.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I was quite amazed at how narrow-minded actually I was coming from here.
Yeah.
I had knowledge about some things, but in my identity and identifying what I thought was cool or what I thought was amazing in the world, you know, we were kind of tunnel visioned here to like focus on the UK or the US.
Yeah.
Which most of my friends went to after they finished school for university. And so I was kind of like wanting to do the same, but my dad said absolutely not. It's either Ghana or Italy for you, so decide what you want to do. And so obviously I opted to go to Italy. And it was quite an experience in terms of, one, getting to know my father better. Not because he was there, but because I understood his culture.
Yeah.
And now I understood a lot of the issues he might have had whilst he was here, or things that he wouldn't, you know, get angry about or just be upset about.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the big deal. You know, I just like, I don't get it. Why are you always so upset?
Yeah.
But then being there, I understood now what was important to him and what is important in Italian culture. You know, the family, eating together at the table, enjoying the outdoors, you know, it's very specific things which we didn't necessarily enjoy here, or you had to make sure would happen. Otherwise, they're not part of our natural Ghanaian setting. You know, here people come home, the food is in the kitchen. Yeah. You go and dish your plates and then sit anywhere and eat. You know, and it's not necessarily that the whole family sits at the table together. That's a very big thing in Italy. Like, you have to do that. So there was like, these little details. Yeah. And then also, I think the European mindset is also very different from what you would, what we were consuming here as American culture. Yeah. Because our movies and music and films and, you know, the recorded tapes you would watch as a kid growing up, most of them came from, you know, that kind of setting. And Italian and other European countries which have their own languages are quite different. Yeah. So they have their own culture, their own subculture, and all kinds of layers of things that you have to dive into. Yeah. Myself, I dove into also understanding our dialects, because every area has its own dialect. Yeah. Even as far down as a town might have its own dialect, and sometimes the root language is even different. So there's some places which have Greek as their root language, so you cannot understand a word of what the dialect is about. And it's very rich, you know, like if you speak Ga, you speak Tree, it's very different than when you're communicating in English. Yeah. I think there's a layer of extra information. Yes, absolutely. That comes with your dialect. Yeah, so when I started to also delve into the Italian or Lecce dialect, which is where I'm from, I really felt a part of something. And I really started to identify as so it's almost like you now identified with the other side of you that you hadn't been exposed to yet properly. Because when they'd ask me, where are you from? I was like, I'm Italian Ghanaian, but the Italian was kind of like shy because I really didn't know much. But now I know I'm fully aware of both sides, and there's so much richness to both. Like, there's so much. I get you. So when you came back to Ghana after having those 10 years in Italy, what did you see when you came back? Well, that was first impression? 2008. I moved in with my parents because, you know, that's your first landing. Yeah. And I was going to start working. To be honest, I had a hard time when I moved back initially. Oh, really? Yeah. Why is that? So a few things weren't sitting well with me. One was I'd go out and see all these white foreign old men with young girls, you know, and I just didn't like to see it. Yeah. And I'd completely forgotten about it whilst I was away. Right. And so it was something that kind of disturbed me a bit. Also because I'd done like my thesis on issues of women in, well, not war situations, we didn't have that in Ghana, but then the repercussions of that were like women traded as slave trade, you know, as sex workers and all those kind of things. And I was just immediately reminded of that when I came back, and the fact that a lot of young girls here to survive, you know, do a bit of questionable things. Yeah. So I didn't like to go out. And my dad, who of all people was like, I wasn't allowed to go anywhere when I was a kid, was now asking me, but Steph, aren't you going to go out and, you know, have fun with your friends? I'm just like, nah, not really. But then again, at some point you get oblivious to it because, you know, you're seeing it all the time, and you get desensitized, right? You get desensitized, and so, you know, life started to make sense at some point. I had to find people to connect with or reconnect with. I started to get involved, well, not really, but just be curious about what was going on in the art scene, because I was also very much a creative where I came from in Italy. And I got here and I was working in corporate, so I was completely cut off from all of that. And I kind of missed all that life. So I was kind of looking for ways to reconnect. So what did you study when you were in Italy? Industrial design. Industrial design. Yeah. What does that mean? Well, it's design. There's different aspects to it. You can either do fashion design, you can do interior design, you can do product design. I did communication, which would entail graphic design and everything else around that. Right. So like marketing and advertising, and not just that, even like building websites and how, you know, you're supposed to streamline your information and what the best way to structure the website. So that's called web usability, and, you know, all these kind of fresh concepts at the time, because when I was doing it, everything was kind of new in that space as well. Yeah. So is that what you wanted to continue to do when you moved back? Initially, I wanted to work here in terms of government communication because I wanted my work to have a social component to it. So I didn't want to go into advertising. I just felt it's like you're just lying to people all the time and selling them things they don't need.
Yeah.
So initially I was hoping to get into like, having, because back then again, we didn't have anything. No government websites which explain to you how to get maybe your license done. Like there's always some middleman holding onto the information to make the process complicated.
So did you find those things kind of irritated you? Because obviously,
so that's
now
another part.
You're seeing stuff that didn't happen necessarily in Italy, and it was happening here, and so that felt a bit. So
a lot of I would say the inconveniences. Is what I had now become accustomed to a lifestyle of. Some kind of comfort. Where you need something, it's there. You want to do something, you can do it. There's really very few limitations to how you could, enjoy life. Leisure. As for leisure, the Europeans, they have it down to a T, and Italians even more so. So coming here, you're dealing with your lights off and no water situations. You're dealing with bad environments in general. Like it's quite dirty, I think. The gutters are open, they're smelly. The beaches, unfortunately, are full of trash. There's rubber bags everywhere. And these are things which are very simple to fix. And I find it just insane that we haven't been able to get a handle on this. It has a lot to do with education, obviously. Because
absolutely.
It's a problem whereby every single individual is responsible. If everybody stopped chucking plastic, the government doesn't need to do anything. They don't need to go around and pick up all the rubbish that's been thrown away. We just need to stop throwing it away.
Actually, we don't have any bins on the roadside anywhere, do we? Not even one single bin.
Because people would just throw their home garbage into those.
It. Oh my gosh.
And then they'd become these huge, huge
You
piles of.
can't see the bin anymore because there's so much rubbish around it.
No one's going around to collect it, and then who's going to pay them? Who's going to collect? Like there's a lot of issues with the way the city is structured and how we manage some services. Things have gotten much easier, so I'm trying to remember what the difficulties were.
I'm trying to get into your brain, like when you first came back, to see how you kind of compared your life before you went to Italy and what it was like when you came back.
It was difficult to find a lot of things. You couldn't get a lot of stuff. You always had to go and import it go buy it outside and bring it in. Now I think that has changed.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've been back for, was it 2008 till now? That's how many years? 22?
Don't give away your age.
That's a long time.
Don't give away. She's not giving away her age.
No, that's not 22 years. What am I saying? It's
a long time. No, it's not. It's like 13.
Hey, maths. Hello,
no, it's
14.
It's like 13, 14 years.
14 years.
Yeah,
okay.
something like that. Yeah.
And my maths teachers are going to be laughing at me. And it's really changed. It's really changed.
Yeah.
So imagine I went from no mall, no Momo, no delivery people. No, there was no cadres. There was literally Accra was still in its state of we're still waking up. And so a lot was missing. But again, it was also exciting in a way because I was in the middle of everything happening and starting to happen.
But did you realize at that point in time that this is a great opportunity for me to take advantage of something?
Oh yeah, I definitely moved back because I wanted to have some kind of relevance to my life.
Right.
I knew that if I stayed in Italy, I would just, be stuck at some job and just take my salary at the end of the month and not really have an impact on society per se. And I wanted to do more than that. And I was coming back on holiday, whilst I was away. And there were a lot of ideas that were sparking up every time I come back. Oh, we don't have this, we need this. Or we don't have that, we need that. So I knew coming here, I had a lot more freedom. If I wanted to be my own boss, and have my own activity, because our bureaucracy there's a lot of ways around things, at least at the time. And there's a lot more, human content in terms of relating to institutions. So, you want to open a business, you can open and then you can get your paperwork done. Whereby I don't think you can do that in another place. You have to have your licenses and all that kind of stuff sorted before you even, get into that. So it's a very informal sector here, how people operate, in fact, in terms of their businesses.
Absolutely.
And so I knew that would be something that would play to my advantage if I came back.
So when you came back, how did you plan on supporting yourself financially?
So I had a job before coming, and I was, even though I had been thinking of coming to Ghana, I wasn't going to make the move unless I had a secure position somewhere, because I wasn't going to come and now look for a job.
Yeah.
So I'm blessed to speak 2 languages, well, 3. So I got a job offer based on...
What are the 3 languages?
Well, I did French in school.
Oh, okay.
So I can manage. It's not fluent, but I can manage. And then English and Italian, I'm like completely fluent in. So my job was actually to speak in Italian and English.
Okay.
And so I was hired from Italy to come back. And it was a great experience. I got into the construction world, and I was working with the big companies and the big institutions. So I got an idea of what, the business scenario and the corporate world was like in Ghana.
Right.
Met some very interesting human beings, and we're working on big projects, like we did the stadium and, some of the bigger buildings that came up and literally changed the landscape of Accra at the time, because there were no skyscrapers. There were no like multi-story buildings.
Yes, absolutely.
And I was working in a company that was part of that change. So it was exciting. Then the mall happened, and
remember when the mall came?
The mall happened.
I remember that. Do you know when the mall came about? Everybody used to go to the mall just to take pictures of themselves. That was what the mall was for. Like, people weren't even really shopping. They were literally.
No, it was just like a mall.
Yeah, it was like, there's a mall here, so let's go to the mall. You go with your friends and you just take pictures. That's what it was for. Like, it was crazy because it was exciting.
There was that happening, and then all these bars started to open here and there. I mean, I was like a regular at Monsoon when it was still open, and other places where there was like karaoke. And I had a group of friends that, mostly expats, because I just happened to connect with a group of expats, and they've all left Ghana since. So I had to find myself reimagining my friendships every time. So that was another issue of not living here.
Yeah, how did you kind of fit in? Because obviously, yes, you were born here, and I'm assuming that you had some friends who you had made in school, right? Some friendships there. But then you went away, and you've gone away for 10 years, so that's a long time.
Yeah, and then I was somewhere where there was none of my friends, because maybe you went to the UK, you meet up with people once a while.
Yes,
stuff,
exactly. So it's completely
like complete
different.
Disconnect.
And then coming back, were you able to reform those friendships, or did you find that you had to start again?
There were a few people from school, but we didn't really hang out so much. I mean, also because everyone's like busy, and as adults, it's a bit different. How you hang out. And then. With a couple of them, we did, but then they were part of like a bigger group of people. So, you just end up being part of a group. Yeah. And so that was fun. I mean, we used to go to the beach every weekend and, take those kind of trips that Obruni's would do on the weekend. And then during the rest of the week, it's all work. Maybe once a while, you get into other things. But then they all left Ghana at some point, one after the other, for different reasons. And I found myself at some point being a bit lost in terms of just having a group of friends. And then we reconnected again with I reconnected again with a different group of people. And we were hanging out for a while. And then a whole bunch of stuff started to happen. Yeah. So one of the key things was Republic Bar opened. Oh, yeah. And I used to go there literally every single night. Wow. Just because I would finish from work. They had great food. Very nicely priced food also. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't pretentious. It wasn't, and when their mom was still alive, she was there in the kitchen making sure like the quality standards were A-okay. Yeah. The drinks were also interesting because now they also were going into this whole conversation of taking what Ghana has to offer and presenting it in a nicer and better way. Right. Which by then I'd opened the t-shirt shop and I was involved in that conversation. So that was one of the social spaces in which I realized, whoa, there's creatives in Ghana. And I met a lot of interesting characters there as well. So tell me, because you're the owner of Lokko House and Elle Lokko. And Elle Lokko, yes. Yes. So tell me, how did that start? Well, so in 2008 when I moved, 2007 I moved back. In 2008, after a year I'd been here, I had a boyfriend from Israel. And he was just crazy about, he likes t-shirts, he just loves t-shirts. Yeah. And he wanted a t-shirt that says Chale. Chale why? Everything is Chale why. That's cool though, that's really cool, yeah. So that was and is and has always been our highest selling t-shirts. Wow. So he wanted one. I was like, well, we can print a few and then you obviously sell.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, obviously we can't just do one design and have a whole store for that. So we did like I think about 10 designs to start off with.
Yeah.
Some for girls, some for kids, some for men, or unisex. And we just opened this shop, which was talking about Ghana. I mean, I was doing the designs because I'm the graphic designer.
Yeah.
And he was running the business aspect of things.
Okay.
And I was just gearing it towards a conversation on something that looks very foreign, but is totally Ghanaian.
Yeah.
And the message is Ghanaian, and the concept behind it is Ghanaian. So we're just, pulling out all these things about our culture that's funny, that's bad, that's good, that's, everything that you want to talk about when you talk about Ghana.
Yeah.
And people latched on because now you have a whole diaspora of Ghanaians who's abroad and they're missing home. But when they come home and they buy things, like you don't want to do your whole Kunta Kinte look all the time, with your kente and your batakari and you want something that's a bit more discreet or a bit more seamless with wherever you are. And a t-shirt I think was the easiest piece of items to have. Initially we only had the village drawing paintings on a t-shirt or the tie and dye, very Rasta kind of feel, and
you could tell where it's from.
You can tell. And I was going for something that was totally design, but was Ghana design. And mind you, it came off the back of the 2008 Africa Cup of Nations that we hosted.
Right.
So everyone was going crazy about wearing something Ghanaian, and most of what was in town was in like nice merch. For the cup. So we just had that done, and the response was amazing. It was like people were just waiting for something of the kind to happen. So we got a very strong hardcore fan base from day one. And then Facebook also, I started to use Facebook a lot for marketing what we're doing. That's before Facebook became a marketplace. So there were actual human beings on there who were talking about real people, having real friend connections and just actual conversations between human beings. So the space became somewhere where I was sharing what we were doing, and there was pretty much a strong response.
Wow.
And then I'd be sharing all this content on like back in the day Ghana, our retro things, and the kid flying the kites, or the little bongo cars they used to do with the Konko cars with the
So did you know what you were doing? Did you have this master plan for where you are today?
No, I was just going with the flow and putting my all into it, pretty much, because I loved doing it. And it was just, well, I'm doing this now, let's do it the best I can, so I'm doing my t-shirts. It was a side gig, mind you. We made a loss the whole time because
really
we were importing the t-shirts. They were produced abroad. The quality was excellent, but we wanted to make it affordable. So the pricing was just basic. It was like 30 cedis a t-shirt. No, it was 29 actually. 29. We didn't even want to hit the 30 cedi mark.
Okay.
And we had the whole store where we were like, paying lights and rents and salaries, and people were not buying t-shirts to that level, even though the people were fans, Here in Ghana, we had a very poor audience. In terms of customers. Maybe because the price, maybe because they look at the shop and like, oh wow, that looks so good. Definitely it's too expensive for me, So we had this mindset that's playing in the background.
It's true though. I mean, it's a fair point. Even for me, if I walk past certain place, I'm like, that shop looks like a boutique. It's too nice. So I'm not even gonna, because I don't want to go. You know that you go, you look at the price and you're like, oh my gosh,
sorry.
And then you just try and put it down, like, oh no, I'm just browsing,
I see it, I like it, I look at the price, put it back.
Exactly. That uncomfortable experience.
So most of our client base was foreign or travelers or tourists or the returnee that's coming on holiday and going back and wants to take some gifts. And that's how it started off being something.
So how did you go from that to having what you have now?
Well, so at some point I quit my job, but before that people started to approach me to have their products put in our space. It was a t-shirt shop. That was it. It was just a t-shirt shop. And
it sounds so simple, like such a basic idea, but no one was actually doing it.
No one had one. Yeah, no one had a t-shirt shop. And people were printing t-shirts, but no one opened a store, and branded it and put their name on it, and it was clear that that's what was in there.
You know, I'm sorry to just interrupt you there, but this is what I keep saying about sometimes it's the most simplest ideas, right? Sometimes we have a tendency to overthink things and we think, I must come up with this new plan in order for this business to work. But actually, sometimes it's in the small things. So like something as simple as opening a t-shirt shop. Now, if I had said to someone back in 2008, right, you should go to Ghana and open up a t-shirt shop. They'd be like, what kind of nonsense is that? You know, like
why?
Yeah, you're correct. You know, it sounds so basic, but actually the idea was there and it sparked off so many things. So you were almost thrust into so many different things because of this t-shirt shop.
But also, let me say, like I was saying, we're making money out of it. So if it was a business idea, it would have failed. You get me? I mean, I had a job. I was taking care of my partner. Also had a job. He was fine. So we were actually taking extra money we had and putting it into something that we were passionate about. And that's literally what has driven it for the longest time was passion, because I needed to feel creative or do something creative. It was something fun, and I then realized what the response on it was and how much people cared about what we're saying. And I didn't realize it until they came to tell me, you know. So then brands would start approaching us and like they love the space. Then they're also forward thinking and starting to do products that, you know, we're trying to highlight Ghana and design in Ghana. And the fact that, you know, when you talked about made in Ghana back then, it was like, oh, no, the quality, the finishing, this, that. And it was like, you know, but then do better. Let's do better, you know. And so there were a few people who were doing better. And then they naturally just gravitated towards others who were, and so my space was kind of available for that. Initially, I wasn't allowing anyone in because I just didn't want to dilute the brand and confuse people. But with time, people started to ask if we had other things except other like just t-shirts, you know. So we started to even experiment. We did a few other products just to try out. So we went and like got some caps embroidered with the designs from the t-shirts. Just added one or two things, and we're like, okay, people actually do want more. So we started to introduce some products from others. Clothing was one of them. HTW's Empowerment Beads was another. I remember those. People were going crazy. They went nuts for those. Like went nuts for those. So there was a whole. You could tell people were waiting. They were just waiting for something better to come out of Ghana. So with time, the selection of items started to keep growing, and I was like, okay, well, I have a job, you know, I go to a 9 to 5. I don't know if I can keep doing all this by myself, because then my partner also left the country and he moved back home. And so I was literally just dealing with it on my own. Plus I was doing like freelance graphic design as well, and having like a full-time job in construction. So it started to get a bit heavy. And I decided to quit my job eventually and handle the girls' requests, because the girls really pressured me for feminine things. And so that's 2015 when Elle Lokko opened. And I had my full attention on it. I think even Instagram then started like the year before. So I really used that platform to its max. I mean, I'm a graphic designer. I worked in that field, so it wasn't like I wasn't understanding what was going on. And socials and stuff had not really been a major component of anyone's business, but I was experimenting with the medium, like I always do. And it went really well. So it really got people's attention and the right crowd, because who was going to be on Instagram? A certain audience only. Those who could have a phone, who had internet access, and who were interested in creativity, because it was all about photography and visuals. So Elle Lokko started off the bat of that, and I started to tell the story even before the space came. So I had already like excited people, and they already knew about Lokko, the t-shirt shop, and it went on from there. And I just, you know, it just grew. It just grew. We now got involved with all kinds of things, because we had extra spaces that were just sitting there not doing anything. So there was the warehouse, where we had concerts and exhibitions and fashion shows and workshops and even exercise classes and whatever anyone wanted to do.
So you were really sort of into the whole creative space, right?
Very much, very much.
Wow.
It was a lot to do with my life in Italy, because so you have to understand the university I went to was a whole bunch of creative crazies. So our life was geared around all of that. I mean, we'd go to like I was in Milan of all places. So Milan is like the heart of fashion.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's like design week, there's fashion week. So I went to all these things, you know, all these underground parties and, you know, converted warehouses which were being used for whatever and whatever.
So you got some exposure.
So I got a lot of exposure in that. And then when I came here, I mean, I wasn't the club girl. It was boring to me. I didn't like to do the club scene.
Yeah.
So I wanted alternative ways of having fun. And there weren't any available.
Yeah.
And like me, there were other people who also were looking for alternative ways of having fun. And so we just did our own, you know, we made our own fun. And so we just have parties, or we just like, oh, like, why don't we do this? Okay, let's do it. And we do it, you know, because it's quite easy here to just put things together and have it done.
Yeah.
Without going, you know, overboard and trying to make it like, you know, seem what it isn't.
Yeah. So do you feel like this is, you've reached the ultimate, this is what you wanted, you've reached the max, or do you feel like there's still space for you to do other things that you want to do?
There's always space. There's always
You're just
space.
going to keep adding, aren't you? Adding and just
I mean, we opened the gallery at some point, you know, we did Airbnbs at some point, you know, with like a creative angle. So we were hosting creatives mostly in our spaces.
Really?
I'm a Gemini. Let's put that out there. I get bored just like that. So I am always looking for new things to stimulate, to stimulate me. And I think life has always thrown challenges at me that I'm always ready to take up. And I don't ever just fold and be like, no, this is too hard or this is not possible. I never think of this is not possible. I'll look for a way. And maybe it won't come out, you know, looking as amazing or as fancy or whatever it is, but we will always find a way. And so it makes it very personal. It makes it a very uncharted path most of the time.
So I really like that, because I feel like sometimes people move to Ghana and they expect things to just fall into place. And sometimes what you think or what you imagine is not the way that it's going to necessarily happen. So what advice would you give to someone who perhaps wants to move to Ghana and wants to start a business and they're not sure? What advice would you give them?
Well, definitely come before a few times and have a look around, because without doing that, you even know what you're getting yourself into. Even understand if you can live here. Because I've had friends, they came, they left, they came back again, then they left again. They're like, nah, we tried it twice, man, we can't, you know, we can't. And then there's others who've come and just like, they're happy, you know, or they can leave Ghana once a while on holiday and stuff. So you get to go back to the things you miss. Because at the end of the day, you created a life elsewhere as well.
Absolutely.
So before coming, definitely come and check it out and make sure that what you want to provide is a need, which we have lots of needs which are not satisfied here. There's so many things people need. So there's just literally an infinite amount of things you could possibly start to do. Sometimes you're too early. Sometimes you come a bit late, you know, but that comes down to, I think, personal luck at some point, or you know, planning.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of opportunity here, so you have to come. Be sure that you can deal with some of the difficulties of the space.
Okay, so tell me this as a final question: what would you say, or what piece of information would you give to help someone avoid a pothole here? So, like, just something. So, like, I think if I put myself in this situation and I ask myself the question, I would say the biggest thing for me would to make sure that you have like a steady stream of income. You have income coming from lots of different ways, because that was a big major hurdle for me here. What would be that one thing that you would say to someone? Be careful of this thing.
If you're buying land, for example, be very sure. Like, go have the papers checked and make sure there's paperwork. There's no paperwork, forget. Don't even step on that, because land in Accra is like the most difficult thing to purchase.
Absolutely.
So if you need to start a business, obviously the property you're going to work out of needs to be secure. And if you're going to own it, even more so. But then again, things have changed a bit. They have like buildings that have come up which you literally just go rent and you're fine. Risk factors are kind of high. Because if you go for loans and things like that, they're very expensive. Very. So don't come here hoping you're going to get a loan to start your business, because then it will cost you way too much. You need staff. Be prepared. It's not an easy thing. Because our staff here has not been trained to the level we would need them to deal with some of the things that we're going to do. people come here with very sophisticated ideas sometimes, and your average Joe here in Ghana has not even been exposed to some things. So staff needs training. You need to build them up. You definitely need to be patient. You definitely need to go through quite a few people before you find who you really need.
That's very important.
And that's been like my experience in retail. I mean, I'm very particular about how my customers are treated.
Of course.
And so
you have to.
We all have this knowledge that, you know, customer service in Ghana is a bit poor. How are you going to go around that? You have to keep finding them. You have to keep finding the right people.
So don't be afraid to kind of turn over staff if you have to, right?
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So I would say, in terms of, you know, opening a business, you definitely interface with others, you know. Paperwork and things like that, I've become a lot more easier and streamlined. The processes are much simpler, so that's not really a problem. I do think the investment levels are higher for foreigners, obviously, but to open a business as a Ghanaian, it's quite straightforward.
Right.
So
I love it.
In those terms, it shouldn't be too complicated. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So if someone wants to come and visit here, where are we?
We're in Osu. We're not far from the stadium, conference center, and I don't like saying it, but Osu Cemetery is just down the road. Kingdom Bookshop is at the traffic lights, and we're just like 100 meters literally down the road.
What's the name of this road?
Lokko Road.
Hey! There's a surprise.
Mind you, that's the reason why the shop is named Lokko House and Elle Lokko, because I use the street name. I just like the idea of Lokko being, you know, confusing in terms of, oh, it's a name, but oh, it's local as in crazy, all that stuff. So it's Lokko Road, and it's in the Osu area of Accra.
Very easy to find with an Uber if you need to. Put it in there, bring it straight here.
It'll bring you here.
Love it, thank you. And people can find you on Instagram as well?
Yes, so our handles are either Lokko House for our urban streetwear scenarios, and Elle Lokko, which is ELLE, French for Elle.
Yes.
Lokko, LOKKO. And that's the concept store for women. So we have brands from the whole continent, but African brands only. We don't take anything else.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Elle Lokko starts, so I forgot to say all that. Elle Lokko was more, because of the women's taste, I couldn't limit it to Ghana alone.
Yeah.
And we immediately got brands from Nigeria and other countries. Wow. So it became an African space quite quickly and not just the Ghanaian space. Wow. Lokko House has focused more on like the local urban culture, so it has more brands from Ghana. Yeah. But Elle Lokko is more international in the African sense when it comes to the product selection.
I see. Nice. Well, there you have it, guys. That is it. I really hope you've enjoyed today's interview. I really love speaking to you. So thank you for taking some time out for me.
Welcome to have you.
Yeah, so please, if you're visiting Ghana or if you're here already, definitely come and check out this space. This space here is absolutely fantastic. You can sit here, I'm sure if you ask her, she might even make you a cup of tea if you're lucky. You know? Because it's so comfortable to sit here and just kind of see the space. It's absolutely beautiful. It's lovely.
Thank you.
So well done to you for that.
Thank you.
Guys, if you haven't already subscribed, I would love it so much if you would just do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment and share this video. Until next time, we are out. Nutitfafa.